Fire it up, let the engines roll. I'm Tim, and welcome to Watchbox. Thanks for logging on. We're back after a week away with the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and I am glad to be with you. We are discussing Rolex and waiting in line for Rolex. We are discussing how you define fashion, luxury, and high horology watches. And of course, we are giving out a guide, holiday watch shopping for the watch enthusiast in your life. It's also great for gifting yourselves. All of that, plus your wrist shots, I asked, you answered. Remember, guys, the best place to buy, trade, or sell watches this holiday season is the new thewatchbox.com. We redesigned it. It's faster. The search function actually works. Open up a different window, keep me streaming, and yes, check the Debatoon page. I can see we've got friends joining from far flung after a week away. First in the box, Eddie Landsberg from Harvard Yard. We've got Edward Ledden of Sweden, Adam Crossfire, BNS, Marco B, we've got Eduardo, we've got Christopher N, Mr. No Date, Old English 91 joining from Garden City, Long Island, Alexi Samola of Finland, we got Sean B from Temple, Texas, Blue Shirt Buddha, we got Steve Place, Joe Tyson from Apex, North Carolina, Alex O from Maine, Clive Owens, we've got Mateo, we've got Kevin S. from New York City, Mark S. from Brooklyn, and Jean-Claude Beaver, not Beaver, there is a difference. MCC Le Chinois, welcome Logan Hall. I've missed many, but I'll be back to the chat box, don't you worry. All right, let's take a look at your watches before we talk about our watches. First with Alan E., who gets us rolling with his Grand Seiko High Beat GMT Asia Edition. That is a good looking dial. Nice strap too. Abdul R. brings us his Rado in quartz, in gold, amid a winter landscape in the German Black Forest, nicely framed. Dylan L. and his IWC Pilot's Watch Chronograph Spitfire showcase Loom for the depths of winter, which is coming. And Simon H. with his Rolex Sea Dweller, and I approve his Aston Martin hit the road in Napa, California. Guys, send your wrist shots, watches and wheels, watches and dogs, watches and watches, watches and food. I don't care. Send them to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your pieces on these pixels. Okay, let me know, guys, when is it worth sitting on an authorized dealer's wait list? This is not just a Rolex thing. Obviously, that's the clickbaity title, but it's more pervasive than that. 2020 might be the year from hell, but in the admittedly lower stakes world of collecting watches, purgatory seems like a more apt comparison, as popular references from brands of all sizes are backordered to Kingdom Come, or perhaps I should say Magic Kingdom Come, where in a normal year, the war criminal Mickey Mouse wages intractable blitzkrieg on your bladder. Let me tell you, those lines are something else, or they were, until the 2020 Rolex collection. Now we see that popular models such as the FP Journe Chronomètre Bleu and the Patek Philippe Nautilus remain heavily backlogged, but there are new arrivals that are moving the needle not in the direction I like. So let's be honest, counting the ways that wait lists grew for 2020. Rolex's wait lists grew predictably with the arrival of an all-new generation Submariner. It's been a long time since we had a new sub. We knew the next Rolex to get the makeover treatment was going to be the Sub or the Daytona, and it turned out to be the Diver. But for the first time, and this threw a lot of people for a loop, we had movement in the Oyster Perpetual line, where the 39 was phased out, and now the 41, especially the 41, has become a profoundly back-ordered item. Omega launched at least 2 waitlist watches with the 3rd generation Silver Snoopy, the Apollo 13 anniversary watch, and the reborn Omega 321 caliber, nicknamed the Ed White after his personal watch. AP, always in the midst of waitlist action, released a new black ceramic double balance Openworks, which you better believe won't be sitting around in the case. And the new arrivals to the club included brands that we don't normally see in the world of waitlists, including Germany's A Lange und Sonne, great watches, but in general they sell at discounts, and inventory is usually available, or at least it was until the arrival of the new Steel Odysseus sports watch. And again, kind of new to the waitlist game, H. Moser and C. of Schaffhausen. Not just Journe can do a waitlisted watch. The new Streamliner Flyback in particular, there's also a Center Seconds, but the Streamliner Flyback with the Agengraph movement really moved. It is now in its 2nd series, and yes, you will wait. So, It should come as no surprise amid all of this forced cooling of heels. Watch collectors now ask me whether they should bother with wait lists at all, find a non-waitlisted alternative watch, or pay an aftermarket markup to own a waitlist watch immediately. These are all good questions, and I would say first and foremost, if there's an alternative that you like better, or even the same, that's not waitlisted, go with that. If you're looking at the Submariner, but you're indifferent to the Sub versus a Diver 300 meter from Omega, go with the Omega. If you're looking at the Ed White, but for example, you might be equally happy with a Breitling Premier, yeah, definitely go for that. That's the easy way out, and those watches are always available at discounts or used somewhere. So here's my advice about when to get on a wait list, and the first one is the layup. You get on a wait list if you have an in with your dealer. Let's say you get the call the day after the new XYZ comes out, and you have the opportunity to get the watch now or get the watch soon. Obviously, if you want the watch, get the watch. I would say it's tough to forego the profit. A lot of people who don't want the watch are going to get the watch and then sell it. But if you've got superhuman self-control and an ethic like, I don't know, Perry Mason, then skip the watch, skip the wait list and get something else. Or Atticus Finch. Atticus Finch would forego the opportunity to go to the front of the line for the new Sub. He wouldn't get it, he wouldn't sell it, he would buy something else. Get on the wait list if you are patient. And this is always the right answer, because if you get on the wait list, you're going to get the watch with the warranty and you're going to pay retail. Especially with something like Rolex, where they put the fear of God in their dealers and the dealers always charge retail. So this is a great idea if you have the time and you're not particular about when you get the watch. I would also say, get on the wait list if you're that guy who only buys new watches. It might be surprising to think that there are such people in the world, but I know one guy who can buy whatever he wants, car or watch or house. He only wants new watches, and then he never sells them. So even if he could get the coolest watch in the world 3 days old from someone else's wrist, he wouldn't. If you're that guy, get on the wait list. Let's take a quick look right here. Let's see what you guys are saying about wait lists. Terry C. saying Omega should make a bunch of colorful dialed Aquaterras to siphon off Rolex's customers. I agree, that's a cool idea. I've got Mr. Lolex saying Porsche owners like me don't compromise. I can't tell if that's true or a joke, because there's certainly Porsche owners who would say something like that in earnest. And then right here we've got Steve Smith, all these years, first time live. Hello from Manchester, UK. Very cool, staying up late with me, I appreciate it. Sutat saying, buy an H. Moser & C and enjoy life. I'm inclined to agree with that, especially the Streamliner center seconds with that matrix green dial. I'm liking that one. And then Adam Crossfire saying, the only time I will sit on a wait list is when I can't get a watch for less than recommended retail pre-owned, and if I actually want the watch. And then Steve Play saying, brands need to determine if they want to increase production to meet demand or continue driving scarcity with current numbers. And right here, let's see what else you're saying. Richard Combs from South Florida, good friend of the house. Tim, I am on my AD wait lists for a Rolex Platinum Daytona with diamond baguette markers. Put down a payment, expect delivery in February, worth the wait. And I love that choice. Richard, you got to send me a wrist shot when that thing lands. Marcus G., a good friend of the house and a member of my Facebook group, saying, personally, I don't mind staying on a wait list. I prefer a small collection, and I think it kind of pumps the brakes on too many purchases. Good point. By the way, guys, open up another window and load up Marcus G's collector conversations we did last week. Really cool thoughts from a nice down-to-earth guy who's a real connoisseur. Okay, back to the wait list. Why you would sit on a wait list. Get on the wait list if the aftermarket markup is high enough that if you just wait and get it at retail, the money saved could buy another watch. For example, a Rolex Daytona in steel. It's a $13,000 watch, $13,000 and change. Now let's say you get on the wait list, you know it's going to be 2 years, but with the money you save, you get yourself a 1990s tritium dial Zenith rainbow flyback pilot's watch, possibly service issued too, because again, you're saving a lot of money compared to paying $26,000, $27,000 for that Daytona used. You can also use some of the money to pick yourself up a Zenith caliber 410 chronometer triple calendar moon phase. Heck, you can even get yourself a new Dayfi Classic. All of that, and it will keep you occupied while you wait for the Rolex, which means by the time the Rolex arrives, you buy it at retail. With the money you saved, you've now built up a collection, and you've had all that time to build memories around the watches. you bought with the money you would have spent buying the watch immediately at a markup. I would also say, get on the wait list if you have a foreseeable milestone or watershed in your life. If you're 2 years out from what you know is going to be a big graduation or a milestone in the life of someone you really love and you've got the means to give them a lavish gift, or you know that partnership is coming in a year, these are all great occasions to mark with a watch, and this is when you can anticipate the moment, get on the wait list with no obligation, and if the event arrives, great, celebrate with the watch, but plan ahead. So if you can plan, definitely get on the wait list. I would also say, get on the wait list if you love the watch sincerely and can't or won't pay a markup. This isn't quite the same thing as being patient. Some people, if they rearrange life priorities, save hard, and think ahead, can pay $13,000 for a Daytona in 2 years. But they can't pay $26,000 for that watch right now. If that's you, then yes, get on the wait list. And finally, get on the wait list if you need a watch to complete a collection and you have a reasonable expectation that you won't be able to do it by other means. A great example there would be something like the Omega Silver Snoopy 3. If you've got the Snoopy 1 and you've got the Snoopy 2, it's not the worst idea in the world to get on the wait list so you can take delivery of that Snoopy 3 and complete the circle. All right, jumping back into the box real quick, see what you guys are saying. Wow, this chat box moves fast. Adam Crossfire saying, good point on pumping the brakes. This is Marcus's point from earlier. I'm inclined to agree. I've got my Planet Ocean 39.5 turning up tomorrow. All being well, it's the last piece I'll buy before jumping on the Rolex waitlist. So there's a couple of perspectives on other brands and waitlists from Adam right there. And we've got Chris L saying, I just ordered a Dornbluth 99-1 handmade chronometer from Kalba, Germany, customized and hand finished. Made to order, but I need to wait until April, but that's okay. And again, that is what you could have instead. A truly bespoke watch, a reasonable weight, and a cool independent brand. And know your watchmaker. It's not all about the factory pieces. Let's jump and take a look at some of yours on mine. Viewer wrist chats too. Loading up with Rick R., a good friend of the house and a connoisseur. Rick kicks off our holiday wrist chat series with his Rolex Submariner Hulk ornaments and green pine. Very nice, guys. I want to see those holiday shots for the next couple of weeks. Mehmet K and his Breitling Super Ocean dive watch are ready for winter snow. That's a freshly fallen snow just beyond his classical wrist shot. Conrad shares his father's vintage Hoyer complete calendar with the caliber V72C. It's a V72 with a calendar, date, day, and month. Tim M, not this Tim M, Tim Matthews, showcases his Panerai Luminor Submersible PAM 973 casual with jeans and a sweater, the quintessential December garb. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. All right, jumping back into the box real quick, see what you guys are saying here. We've got Brick Lane saying, Mark S., I just got the Zeitwerk date after I sold my old Porsche 996 Carrera 4S. That's a good trade. One German for another. And I happen to like the direction of the trade too. While I like the 996, I don't love the 996. I love the Zeitwerk date. Now, let's talk about what you can do to interact with the show when the show's not on. In fact, there is an after party. Saturday Night Live has one, and so do I. So join me on my Facebook group, After Watches Tonight. It's where we continue the discussion. Over 2,200 members and growing. It's high-grade, civil, fun, and fascinating, with all the pictures and videos, and yes, memes, that we cannot post in the discussion threads under these YouTube videos. So open up another window, keep me streaming, and join me on Facebook, Talking Time with Tim Mosso. And speaking of Facebook, I ran across an interesting question that one of my Facebook group members asked that led to a reckoning about luxury versus high horology watches. Initially, the question was, what high horology watch can I get for $5,000? And I had an answer, but the answer was very few. The point I took from this is that we need to distinguish between luxury watches and high horology because they're not really the same thing, even though there is some overlap. So, let me know how you define fashion watches, luxury watches, and high horology watches in the chat box. So here's how I put this together. Okay, to be sure, every watch priced in the thousands of dollars qualifies. as a luxury in the sense that we don't need it. It's superfluous to necessity in the traditional sense of surpassing utilitarian needs, but that's what a luxury is. I see a clear difference between the Patek 5207P that we just showed and the Rolex GMT that followed it. And this is an intrinsic difference to the watches that is distinct from ascribed values, that is, things we attribute to the watches. There is something intrinsic in the difference between a luxury and a high horology watch, and that difference is manual labor. You can have a luxury watch that costs thousands of dollars without having received first-hand attention from human hands during the production process. This Hublot, let's keep this up as long as we can, costs almost $18,000, but I've had Hublot watchmakers describe to me how the Unico caliber, Hublot's own movement, is assembled by robots, mechanically oiled in precise fashion, and even regulated by automated means. And since we're talking about a machine-made product that costs almost 18 grand, it's important to differentiate this luxury watch from a merely expensive watch, or what one might call an expensive fashion watch, which can be incredibly expensive at the upper end of their price points. So my rule of thumb is that a watch qualifies as a luxury watch if it is designed to be serviced and repaired indefinitely by a watchmaker. There are some watches that are collected, but they are not repairable. Old collectible limited edition Swatch watches meet this definition. G-Shocks too, they're not repairable even if they might be collectible. And second, in addition to being indefinitely refreshable and repairable by a watchmaker, a true luxury watch enjoys a continuous secondary marketplace of willing buyers and sellers to affirm its enduring value. So in other words, a true luxury watch has a value floor. Maybe that Hublot depreciates to $10,000. It's not going to depreciate to 0 or $100, and it's going to have a secondary market of people interested in buying it used. 5, 10, 15 years down the road, there will be a secondary market for a true luxury watch because it has intrinsic enduring value and it is always repairable, so you know it can be brought back into good working order. So here's the thing. Remember the 18-karat gold 2015 Apple Watch edition? It was the one that was full gold with a full bracelet. Well, the gold version of that watch started at $10,000, and on the full bracelet, you could get over $20,000. That's definitely a luxury in the sense that literally nobody needs that. It is way beyond, even if we could make the case that you need a smartwatch, it is beyond any smartwatch that you could ever require. But here's the thing. It has no lasting secondary market because the Apple Watch, no matter how expensive when new, is not indefinitely serviceable. The battery burns out, you crack a screen, the processor fries itself, you're done. Or it could simply become obsolete and the manufacturer could stop supporting the watch. So this is why I say no matter how expensive, a watch like that is a luxury product, but it's not a luxury watch. And that's really important. So now, let's talk about high horology, which is something beyond luxury. It encompasses everything that luxury is, the fact that it can be repaired, the permanent existence of a secondary market of buyers and sellers. But you take those first two cardinal rules and you apply them with a third step. You ask, is this the watch the product of artisanal handcrafts, hand finishing, delicate manual regulation of a fine movement, say a top-end chronometer, or elaborate decorative arts? And if the answer to that is yes, any part of that, then you're looking at high horology. By this definition, high horology is something whose rate of production inherently is limited by the speed of highly skilled specialists whose output cannot or has not been automated in the production of that watch. It's why the Rolex GMT-Master 116759 SARU, better known as the Patriot, is one of the only modern Rolex high horology offerings. All Rolex watches are luxury horology, but this is made by hand and finished by hand, which means that watch is scarce because of the production speed of human workers, and it's one of the few Rolex watches whose appearance is in large part and whose value is in large part determined by handicrafts that go into its production. So that's a high horology Rolex. Now, high horology includes our minute repeaters, which require not just artisanal finishing, as there are very few crudely executed minute repeaters, but also the tuning of the gongs themselves from a musical standpoint. All chiming watches, including your sonneries. Our miniature painting, whenever we have a dial that recreates a masterwork or coins an all-new masterpiece. Our marquetry dials, such as when we take wood or stone, cut them and create images using the cut pieces like a jigsaw puzzle. Engraving, and that's an example of both engraving and skeletonization on the Gerald Reverso Art Deco of 1998. And of course, exquisite movement finishing. On a watch like the Laurent Ferrier Gallet Micro Rotor, up to 1/3 of the value of the watch is determined by the time invested in decorating the movement. And that's true whether we're talking about Romain Gaultier, Laurent Ferrier, Kari Voutilainen, Philippe Dufour, Vacheron, or Patek. Hand finishing a movement is a big deal. And if any of the above apply to the watch that you own, that is true high horology, the human touch on top of luxury horology. Let's see what you guys are saying right here. We have a good comment from Bailey B. I'm not alone in the studio. I got my crew over there. We got all sorts of people here. We have 121 click bezel. I've seen great VC pieces under 5,000. Can't get more high horology than that. That's true. A lot of 1940s and 50s Vacheron dress watches, some of which include the Geneva Hallmark, are available for under $5,000. Another fact, if you find the JLC Master Ultra Thin Caliber 849 in its 34 millimeter size, when you see that caliber 849, that is extensively hand decorated. And you can buy those watches for well under $5,000. And I did buy one with a black dial and steel. I loved that watch. That is a rare, modern high horology, hand finished watch for under $5,000. Every once in a while, you can even find a 40s or 50s AP for under $5,000 in good condition. We've got Toyota Mosso saying that Rolex Patriot. Wow, what a beauty. And I gotta agree with you. I'm generally not into gems in men's watches, but that particular watch with the gems, oh my God, it's an explosion of color and character and charisma. The 3 C's, guys. All of that plus carats. I'm in love. And then right here we have Rob F saying Rolex movements aren't high horology. That's true. Although that GMT was high horology, it was for the gem setting, not for the movement. And then right here, let's see. Mark S. Tim, will IWC ever re-release the Gerald Genta Ingenieur with the integrated bracelet? Of course, we're talking about the descendant of the 1976 reference 1832 Jumbo Ingenieur. I believe IWC will have to reissue that watch. I do think that IWC's current design director, who oversaw the de-gentification of the Ingenieur line, will probably have to depart or swallow his pride before that happens. So in other words, I don't see it imminently unless it's some sort of a special edition, because right now all of the IWC Ingenieurs are designed to look like the original reference 666 of the 1950s, not the 1832 of the 1970s. Jumping back into the fray, let's see what you got from me. Viewer wrist shots number 3. Amin S is on top of the world with his new Rolex GMT Pepsi Jubilee and his BMW M2 competition. Warren is having just as much fun with his Omega Speedmaster and his Acura TLX. I like these watches and wheels shots, guys. Keep sending them. Azam A from Saudi Arabia shares a quiet moment with a friend and his Rolex GMT Black Bezel. And Fergus A of the UK comes to us with his Tudor Heritage Advisor, my favorite Tudor watch, reporting from Windsor Castle. It does not get any more British than that. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your analog on my digital. Okay, shopping for the watch enthusiast in your life. This is not easy because they tend to be particular people who know exactly what they like and like nothing besides that. So, it's not as easy as it sounds, but it's possible, and I've got some options, ranging from whole watches to memorabilia. Is your watch recipient an enthusiast or not? If you're looking to buy a fun watch for a person you love and they have no particular tastes, Cartier, Rolex, or Omega, they'll be thrilled. But if that's the watch collector in your life and he's looking for a 1994 Reverso Repetition, chances are he's only going to be happy with that particular watch. So don't guess. For the normal person, mainstream brands in stainless steel. For the watch guy, buy exactly or regret it. So, if shopping for a lady, a lot of folks automatically default to small, quartz, and diamond set. But the fact is, a lot of women who are watching this show are actually into watches. So if you're watching this show with your lady, or you know she watches the show, you're going to have to treat her just like one of the guys. So apply all of the watch nerd rules to a woman collector who's basically just like a standard watch collector. Don't buy a lady's watch or she's going to be very, very pissed at you. Women who are into watches tend to be into the same things that men love in watches, which means high mech, handcrafts, rarity, boutique brands, and of course the watch has to fit. Now, here's another thing. The watch guy rules include the following guidelines. Let's break them out. Do not try to guess. This will ensure a mismatch and disappointment. Flying blind. You cannot shop for someone with particular and esoteric tastes, and this hobby is the epitome of that. Fit is a huge deal, and there's no real way to guess. If you're getting an XGT case reverso for someone with a smallish wrist, there's a real good chance that's going to end in tears. There are other watches that wear oddly, like the 42mm Rolex Oyster Perpetual, or any Planet Ocean, even the smaller ones because of the thickness. You've got to think about this in advance and make sure that the watch is not just the right one, but the right size and the right fit for the right wrist. I would also say it's important to remember that store credits at a retailer, and I'm a little bit biased on that count, but store credits at a retailer with a good selection across many brands give that watch collector the flexibility to choose the gift. Everyone's happy to get a gift certificate, especially when they can go online and convert it instantly. But even if you're going to one of our competitors or a brick and mortar or an AD, the bottom line is getting a sufficient store credit to buy your dream machine is a great way to celebrate the holidays. Highly recommended. I would also say shop together. It'll be fun. You can mutually purchase the gifts each of you want. Shop for the watch. Shop for whatever your significant other wants. And then wrap them up and open them on the holiday. This way everyone's happy and you get that together time finding the right matches. It'll be fun and it spares you from having to spend more time with that person when the drinking holiday, New Year's, arrives just a week later. Also, I think it's important to remember that if you let the person shop in advance, sometimes you walk away with a great story. For instance, I was at the FP Journe 30th anniversary celebration at the New York boutique back in 2013, and there was a group of guys there from Singapore, and one of them was getting married, and he had to choose his wedding gift. His wife's family was willing to buy him a gift up to $20,000. Lucky him. Anyway, he wanted to get a chronomètre bleu, and after milling about with the people at the show that night, he chose the chronomètre bleu. Back then it cost about $20,000, and it was available, which was important. He wasn't getting married in the year 2024. Back then you could get this watch from the boutique. All of which is to say, he picked exactly what he wanted, he had a fun story about shopping for his wedding gift, and on the wedding day he's going to get exactly what he wants. Now that's a great idea for a wedding, it also works for a holiday. Also, buy the exact watch the person wants. If they're willing to just tell you up front, get me reference XYZ12345, get that. Now, finally, giving a watch is a grandiose gift. Not everyone can afford to give a watch, and that's understandable. This is an expensive hobby. So for that reason, give something peripheral to a watch. You don't have to get Buben and Zorweg, but you can buy them a fun Orbita watch winder with shielded motors and a leather casing. That's a great way to keep a watch ready to roll if it's perpetual calendar or a complex complication. Or get them a watch travel case so they can keep their treasured pieces safe while they're in transit. Or get them a gift certificate to a site like Camille Fournet or ABP that'll allow them to create a custom strap. Stone Creek in the United States, there are many custom houses. Give them a credit to a watch strap maker, and they can have just as much fun in many cases remodeling a watch they already have. I would also say sometimes servicing or restoring an old heirloom, give them a credit at a watchmaker. Don't send in an old tritium dial watch to a watchmaker you don't know. If you're new to this, give the watch enthusiast some sort of a credit to get an old heirloom or a watch that's been out of service for a long time reconditioned and back into service. $700 for a service might get Grandpa's watch going again for the first time since Ike was in the White House. What else can I say? Well, frankly, there are a lot of really cool gifts you can give, like a high-grade loop. Loop system is fantastic for that. Or books about topics in collecting. And the bottom line is there are so many of them that if you even know what kind of watch or brand your enthusiast likes, you can find a book for that. Finally, Consider these Meyer gifts to be self-sufficient by themselves, but also think about experiences. For a few $100, who wouldn't want to take a master class in entry-level watchmaking, such as the type offered by the American AWCI? They might be pumping the brakes in their own right on classes right now, but rest assured, 2021, everything's going to get back on track, and this would be an awesome way to mark the occasion. Build your own watch. Pay an extra few $100 and walk away with the watch and keep it as a keepsake. I can't imagine a cooler way to gift an experience and a watch both to a watch enthusiast. In fact, even if you're going to get them a watch, even if you're going to go big this Christmas, a book, a loop, an experience, these can all be stocking stuffers, and they're highly recommended. Let's see what you guys are saying right here. We have a question from Justin D. Do you think the Romageron Subcraft by Alain Silberstein is high horology? Well, it's claimed that might be the module for the Jump Hour by Agenor, which is very similar to one used by MB&F, designed by the same complications specialist. For the most part, that's not going to be an artisanally crafted watch, but depending on how much handcraft goes into the Agenor module, it might be borderline. For the most part, I would say no, but it's a very cool watch, and I like it a lot. With 99 examples in black titanium and 99 examples in blasted titanium, that's one of the few Romageron watches that will actually be collectible in the future. And right here, we've got all sorts of comments right here. Mark S. Tim, have you had your VO2 max tested? If so, what is your max? This is a cycling question. No, I have not, but my sustained power output for 60 minutes or beyond is about 5.2 watts per kilogram. That'll mean something to the cyclists out there. And right here, we have from Sutat, get them a Hodinkee travel clock to show that they're very important to you. And at $5,000, you'll show them that they're important to you. Let's see what else is going off. We have Mel Gibson saying the new Rolex line comes off so lazy and boring. I do like the Neo Stella dials, but I can't call them the most inventive thing ever. You're absolutely right about that. We have a comment from Anthony Napoli. Hi, Tim. Go Aussies. And then right here we have Xavier saying, enjoying the show as usual, Tim. Hello from Manila. Getting up early with me in Manila. Very cool. Hey, guys, I asked, you answered. Let's take a look at some of your wrist shots. Kevin K. from Chicago and his Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meter send greetings from our Facebook group, Talkin' Time with Tim Mosso. Join us. Jared L. sports his final edition Moser Swiss Alp Watch Cosmic Green Dial and some Apple detritus in the background. Ralph P. is in Dubai, overlooking the legendary Burj Al Arab Hotel with his Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meter. And Raphael C. illuminates the scintillating Patek Philippe 5205 G13 annual calendar, also known as the best 5205. Very cool, guys. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Let's take the one last look at the box real quick. Horatio, luxury equals exclusive, rare, and super hyped. High horology equals the geekiest timepieces on earth with heavy doses of handmade craftsmanship. We've got Dan T saying, I always love getting more watch books for the holidays. We've got a comment, hi Tim, from one of our friends who is joining in, but this box moves so fast. That comment jumped away from me. We got Hans saying, hello, Timothy. Hello, Hans, and welcome aboard. And Talkin' Watches saying hi to Thomas Burnett. Good to know you guys are always friendly amongst each other, just as we are on Facebook. Join me. Time out, Tim out. Sean, thank you. And thanks for logging on, guys.